Hello everyone, myself Mrs. Chetna Patel from LP Savani Group of School. Students, now in this particular session of English, we are going to start with a poem. As you can see over here, the title of the poem is The Ball Poem by John Berryman. Okay, now first I would like to narrate the summary of the poem. John Berryman has in his poem, The Ball Poem, told us about a little boy who had in his childhood experienced the feeling of loss when his ball rolls away from him and falls into the water of the sea at the harbor. The boy sees his ball disappear. It was the first thing that he really loved. With a sense of loss, he experiences grief. To people, the loss of a ball is a minor problem, but any other ball cannot replace what love the boy had for his belonging. The poet wants people to let the boy learn to handle his own loss. Money is not important as it cannot bring back the same thing that the boy loved. In the poem, the ball represents the childhood of the boy and his loved, filled, innocent days. Okay, now what the poet says further is that the loss of the ball is the loss of childhood. The poem also hints at losses being a part of one's life. The poet is pained by the grief that the boy experiences, but he knows that growing up is an unavoidable process and it is necessary to learn to be strong and go on with one's life, no matter how much hurt the losses cause. Okay, so students, this is the summary of the poem. And as you can see, I've written over here epistemology. Okay, what is that? Epistemology means the theory of knowledge, especially with regard to its methods, validity, and scope, and the distinction between justified belief and opinion. Okay, now actually, epistemology, it's a Greek word. Episteme means knowledge. Okay, it comes from a word meaning to understand, to know. And the term epistemology is the study of the nature of knowledge itself. Okay, so here we are going to understand the nature of loss and what it means to lose something. Fine. I hope it's clear till here. Okay. Okay, now we'll go with the introduction there. Then I'll recite the poem. A boy loses a ball. He is very upset. A ball doesn't cost much, nor is it difficult to buy another ball. Why then is the boy so upset? Okay, so we will read the poem to see what the poet thinks has been lost and what the boy has to learn from the experience of losing something. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What, what is he to do? I saw it go, merrily bouncing down the street, and then merrily over. There it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless now. He senses first responsibility. In a world of possessions, people will take balls will be lost always, little boy. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes the epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days, how to stand up, by John Berryman. Okay, students, after the recitation, now I will explain you the poem there. Okay, fine. Now, here. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? Okay. Now we'll go with the first two lines there. Now in this two line, what the poet is trying to say is that what is the boy now who has lost his ball, and what he is to do. That means what has happened to the boy. Okay, now the boy has been greatly upset, and the reason behind upset is because he has lost his ball there. Okay, so now just because he has lost his ball, what is he to do? Okay, the poet says that as he has lost the ball, okay, he cannot do anything. Okay, he can simply stand there and watch, or rather observe, as to where the ball is moving on. But yes, he makes it clear that the loss of the ball have made the boy greatly upset there. Okay, fine. Moving further, I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street, and then merrily over there it is in the water there. Okay, now here the boys was observing as to how the ball was moving there. Okay, so merrily bouncing, merrily means happily. Bouncing, you know how the ball tosses, no? When you actually toss on the floor, it bounces again and it comes to you there. Okay, yes, so the boy is very helpless. He is standing there and observing how the ball is moving there. Okay, so the ball is moving merrily, happily. Okay, and it is moving there. Where it is moving down the street, and then merrily over there it is in the water. Okay, and ultimately, after bouncing and moving down the street, where does the ball enter? It goes in the water there. Okay, now here we can see that the boy is merely standing there, helpless. He cannot do anything but just observing as to how the ball is moving on. Okay, now we can see that the child or the boy is standing there helplessly, observing the ball bouncing, going down the streets, and ultimately entering into the water body. Okay, moving further. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. Okay, now first try to understand what the poet is trying to say. Oh, there are other balls. Okay, the loss is not important enough to worry about. Okay, at the same time, what the poet is saying that the boy had the ball for a long time, that is, since his childhood. Yes, it is linked with the memories of the days when he played with it. And that is why we cannot console, or rather convince the child of having another ball. Okay, fine. Moving to the next line. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. Okay, yes, an ultimate shaking grief means sorrow, fixes the boy. That means the child is standing there motionless. Fixes means he's standing there, okay, in a grief and sorrow. That means he has been shaken with the grief and sorrow at the loss of the ball. Okay, and I have already told you why he had such attachment with the ball because the ball was with him since his childhood, and there are some memories been linked with the boy there. Okay, that is why they're fine. You must have observed, uh, if you go to the storeroom, or where you keep all the uh, old things and all. Okay, if you happen to visit and if you find a toy of your childhood, you feel nostalgic, and you remember about those old days, how you used to play with that, and you had some memories attached to it. Okay, so similarly over here, the ball had some memories, or the boy had some memories with that ball, and because of that, he's just standing there, been shaken away. He's standing there in a grief and sorrow, motionless. Okay, having nothing to do. Okay, I hope it's clear till there, students. Fine. Okay, now let us discuss the figure of speech. Fine. Okay, we'll go with the first line. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? Okay, now here we have two figure of speech. First, interrogation, because a question is asked not for the sake of an answer. Okay, fine. The second one, we have alliteration, because the consonant sound of H is repeated in has and his, and also WH is repeated in what and who. Okay, fine. Moving on to the next line. What is he to do? Okay, now again we have interrogation. A question is asked, not expecting an answer. We also have repetition, because the word what is repeated for the poetic effect. Okay, okay, we have one more figure of speech in the same line. We have internal rhyme, because we have the rhyming words to and do, okay, are used in the same sentence for the poetic effect there. Okay, fine. Moving further, I saw it merrily bouncing down the street. Okay, now here in this particular line we have personification, because the inanimate ball is given the human quality of merrily bouncing. Merrily means happy there. Okay, fine. Okay, then moving on to the next line. And then merrily over there it is in the water. Now here at the end of the sentence you can see an exclamation mark. Okay, so it's an exclamatory form is used for the poetic effect. So we have exclamation in this line. We also have alliteration, because the consonant sound of th is repeated in the word there, the, and then. Fine. Okay, again we have personification, the same thing, that is the inanimate ball is given the human quality of merrily bouncing there. Fine. Okay, I hope it's clear till there. Moving on further, no use to say oh there are other balls. Okay, we again you can see an exclamation is used, exclamatory form is used for the poetic effect. Okay, and since we have oh, that's a sound producing. Okay, so we can say it is an onomatopoeia there. Fine. Okay, moving further, the last line till where I have explained, an ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. Okay, here we have transferred appetite, because the adjective ultimate shaking has been transferred from the boy to his grief, with which is it is closely been related there. Okay, okay, I hope it's clear till there. Okay, explanation as well as discussion of figure of speech has been over there. Fine. Okay, okay, now after figure of speech, let us continue with the poem. As he stands rigid, trembling, staring down. Okay, rigid, very firm, unmovable, motionless, very still. Trembling, okay, trembling here means actually shivering, but he's not shivering, but rather he is very sad. Okay, staring down, staring means to look at something constantly. Okay, so his eyes are being cast exactly where the ball have entered into the water body there. Okay, fine. Okay, so we can see that the boy is still standing there, quite rigid, very firm, motionless there. At the same time, he is in a deep grief and sorrow, and he's constantly staring at the place where the ball have actually entered into the water body there. Okay, so you can imagine to what extent he has the possession of that ball, okay, that he cannot move from there. At the same time, it's, yes, we may consider it to be a very trivial thing, a very small thing. A ball cost how much? Nothing there, so one can go and buy another ball. But no, it cannot be replaced, or the emotions which are attached to that ball, nobody can understand what the boy had. Okay, fine, moving further. All his young days into the harbor way. Okay, now here what the poet is trying to say is that as if the loss of the ball is the loss of his childhood. Okay, so he says that just because the boy has lost his ball, that means he has lost his childhood there, and that is why he says that all his young days into the harbor way. Now, you know what is a harbor? Harbor is a place where the ships are being loaded and unloaded. Okay, that means, yes, that is a place where the ball has entered into. Okay, so the boy is constantly in sorrow and he's merely standing there. Okay, now the boy had the ball for a long time since his childhood, and yes, it is linked with the memories of the days when he played with it. One can say that it represents his childhood. And now that his ball has bounced and floated away into the water, and he experienced a grievous loss, it is a loss of even his childhood, which has drifted away into the sea of life there. Okay, so that is what the poet is trying to say, that as the loss of the ball is equal or equivalent to the loss of his childhood there. Okay, clear till here? Fine. Okay, now here we complete with the, I mean to say, half of the poem. Okay, the next half of the poem we will see in part 2. Fine, I hope it's clear till here.